right now. All right. Yikes. Okay.
So, do you remember talking weeks ago and I said to you, I really miss Duck Dynasty? And then, like 2 days later, Pluto TV has Duck Dynasty. And I've been watching it nonstop.
I don't get the attraction of Duck Dynasty. I want to get it. I want to enjoy it. I don't get it. Is it because they're handsome underneath the beards or with the beards or what is the appeal?
The it's just it's almost like it's a life like you don't experience. So it's
Okay.
a redneck life,
Okay.
and they have great personalities. They're funny and an interesting family values. They're religious,
Okay.
and
Oh,
and,
okay.
and which coming from me is nothing that I relate to like that. And I just find it pure entertainment.
Okay. Maybe I just need to check it out. I just need to check it out. Okay. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. Yeah, I've never really gotten into it. It's same with like my 500-pound life, my 1,000-pound life. What's that show? And I'm like, what are we doing? What am I missing?
Well, the joke about that, which is hilarious, is that you never see a single person on my 600-pound life. Like everybody's single and struggling, but the 600-pound people all have a partner.
They're all married. They're all doing great. Okay. Maybe that's the secret to love. Gain a little weight.
Maybe.
You'll be fine. You'll be all right. Yeah. That's hilarious. Well, I will try to get into Duck Dynasty. I will do my best.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
So, should we do a couple questions? Should we do some rapid fire?
Yes. And then I have a question for you so that we could ask. I only have one though. Actually, I have another one.
Okay.
Um,
All right. You want to start there?
I have a question for you. How many
Okay. I'm ready.
things have you bought this week online?
Actually, it was a big week for me. So this is not normal. This is not usual. But I'm going out of town for a couple weeks, and I would say I probably spent $1,000 online this week. Maybe. Yeah, that's
How
pretty
many
bad.
items?
That's pretty bad. How many items? All right. So how many things have I bought this week? Okay, I can tell you exactly. Let's see. They were all Amazon. And once upon a time I had this sustainable goal that I was not going to order any more online, not going to order on Amazon because it's terrible for the environment. And then I caved a long time ago.
Oh,
All
wait.
right, so
Well,
let's
that brings me to another idea, but keep going. Okay.
okay. All right. So I got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven things online.
Okay. All
What's
right.
what how many did you get online?
I I just didn't stop. I don't know what was wrong with me. I bought my friend a present. Um,
Okay.
'Cause she
Generous.
moved into a new house. Uh,
Yes.
and from somebody else's TikTok, I saw this candle company, Taja. Holy
Okay.
cow, the greatest thing. You can personalize this candle on every side, the lid of the candle, underneath the candle. I've been going crazy ordering these candles. They're awesome gifts, but they're
Okay.
expensive. Um, but they're just amazing. You could put a picture on them, they're great. So, and then there's this, like, I don't know. The last thing in the world I need, this blue and white plaid jacket that looked
Okay.
beautiful. So I saw that. So I bought that with like four sweaters that I
Money
didn't.
bags over here.
I
Yeah.
they weren't expensive, but it
Oh,
was just I just kept buying stuff. I forgot yesterday a big box arrived. I'm like, did one of my kids order this and ship it here? It was this unbelievable UGG blanket. I forgot I ordered it. It was beautiful. So I'm excited about that.
I love when that happens and you're like, "Oh, look at all these presents I bought
Oh,
myself. This is
it's
great."
the best. But
Yes.
it's funny you say that about sustainability and Amazon
Yeah.
because what about buying sustainable products on Amazon?
I mean, that's a little bit better, but realistically, all the shipping and warehousing and packaging, it's not great. It's
Not
not great.
great. Great for employing people, which is important.
Yes, that is important.
So
Yes.
I didn't intend to do this, but so every Monday I have a team meeting and I love to talk about like sustainable stuff. So my
Okay.
latest one, because we put them into marketing campaigns and stuff where we try to. So the latest one is washing machine sheets.
Oh, okay.
You ever heard of these?
Oh, okay. But not dryer sheets,
Not
washing
dryer
machine
sheets. They're for
sheets.
the washing
Okay.
machine. So
Okay.
I think it's Good Earth. It comes in a package that is biodegradable, so you could put it in the ground and not throw it out. And they're sheets, and you just throw them in the wash.
Oh,
So
okay.
and like I was like, this is amazing for my son going off to college. I was like, take this envelope with 30 sheets in it
Right.
versus a jug that ends up in the landfill. So I've been using those and I sent them to my
That's
sister-in-law, to my
great.
mother. I send them all over the place, but I do order them on Amazon. And then
Wow.
again, because I am the number one sucker for online ads, I just buy everything. So this guy, Kobe, was a college student and wanted to start his own business, and he started these like chapsticks. Now I love chapstick. I have chapstick. Here's AWS chapstick. Uh,
Ah.
I have.
Video is not sponsored by Amazon, but if you want
I-
to.
so I have chapstick all over my house, everywhere you go, in my car, in my purse. But this is organic, and the package is also biodegradable. So there's
Oh,
biodegradable tips.
and you're supporting a small business,
Right.
hopefully, or an entrepreneur, if nothing else.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like all of those things. I like all those things. I'm pretty skeptical. Like, I am not one to buy things on Instagram or TikTok.
Oh,
Usually, just think it's going to be a bunch of crap. But maybe you will inspire me to try to buy something. Most of my stuff, I have to really think about it before I buy it. Like, do I really want
oh,
this?
I should make you like me. I should follow your rule. Like, think about it, wait like a day, and if you still want it, I'm like, hit the
Wait
button.
a day. I will wait weeks and just like, do I really want this? Oh,
Uh,
that's so funny.
yeah.
I wonder what that says about a person. Like if you're more like willing to buy something versus not, you know. Here's a really fun question. What is your first memory of money?
My first memory of money is when I had a job in high school, and
Okay.
my mother and my uncle owned a company that did like decorating for parties. And
Okay.
like, so we would like blow up balloons and do centerpieces and things like that. And no matter what, we got paid $50 per party. So if there were three that day, we got $150 for the weekend. Not bad for a high school kid. So,
Yeah.
we would rush through it because it was such incentive to go fast because you're getting paid the same amount. Just get the hell out of there, right? We want our weekend to start. So I remember going to a store and there was a belt and I wanted the belt. And my mother said, okay, buy yourself the belt. It was the first time I ever had to buy my own article of clothing. And that was like, oh my gosh, like that's going to take up a lot of my money if I do that. And that was my first.
Ah. So supposedly your first memory of money says, translates into how you treat money as an adult. But it sounds like maybe not. The opposite is true for you if you're ordering a bunch of stuff online. And I don't know, maybe the theory is completely wrong. What do you think?
Well, I did buy it.
Okay, so the theory stands true. All right. So validated. Okay. Yeah, I mean, do you worry like, "Oh, this is gonna take so much money," or no? Like, do you have a lot of those same thoughts or not really?
Um, yeah, definitely, especially now being on my own and responsible for my own finances. Like I was married for 28 years to a CPA.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
he took care of everything. So, now that I have to, manage it out, somewhere around here, I actually like I made a spreadsheet of all my bills for the month. And then I have 12 columns. So I know in January when they're all checked off, everything's paid and what's left is what's left. So, which if he heard this, he would be like, "Holy shit, where were you 28 years ago?" When he's like, "We are like $3,000 overdrawn," and I'm like, "Oh well, can't you just put that back in like from somewhere
right.
else?" So yeah, times have changed, and and I'm responsible for a college student who needs things and emergencies. I own my house if I need something. So
Mhm.
definitely, things have changed and I have to budget.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, I like that. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if the theory totally holds true. Okay.
And one of the people that we acquired, and typically when we did that, we terminated everybody from the company we purchased. One person was very, very sick. And they said, "Is there any way you could keep me as an employee? I have to have the health insurance." And I remember calling the CEO and saying, "I absolutely am not doing anything. This person has to work here. Like there's no
Right.
choice. You can't do this to somebody who's sick." And I think, I don't know how, if he didn't get me on the phone, what would have happened? I don't know.
Wow. That's sad. That's kind of scary.
Right.
And again, I don't know how I feel about that. Should people be able to be emotional if they're the emotional type? And I don't want to say it's men, women, non-binary, or somewhere in between, or somewhere whatever. But is that good for business? Are we stifling creativity or encouraging toxic masculinity or bad practices in general without putting a label on it? Or is it sometimes in business you got to buckle up and move ahead and we don't need a bunch of crybabies? Or maybe is there somewhere in between? I don't know. I don't
Right.
know
And
how I
I
feel
think
about that.
maybe we're there, maybe we're mixing up emotion and like humanity, because yes,
Mm.
you should be, you should do what's right. And but if you're crying over something, like even I would be like, "Okay, that's enough." Like, so, buckle up, let's go. So
All right, yeah. Yeah. I think I think you might be right. I think maybe we are conflating humanity. I know for me personally as a leader, I prefer for people to be honest. I don't do well with people who don't execute. I'm definitely a perfectionist. In fact, I just had to lay off two people this week because I'm like it doesn't meet my standards. It's uh,
right,
you don't kind of float. You don't skate by around here. You're either excellent. In fact, our company leads by two words: integrity and excellence. If you don't have either one, you're out.
right.
I don't feel bad for people like that. I just don't feel bad. Um,
Well,
so
I
maybe that's
remember, and I have
humanity.
a good friend who's head of HR for a very large company, and that once we had to terminate a bunch of people, and one of the things they said to me is, "You never have to feel bad about that because they put you in this position. You gave them
Oh,
every chance, so you never should feel bad about that." And usually, when you see something like that happen, another door opens for them that worked out better. Which if you have to do it, there's usually is a reason.
oh, there's a reason. There was such
Exactly.
a reason,
Right.
and it already been talked about a couple times. I mean, in every all hands, we talk about excellence and integrity, and we go, there's no, I'm not, again, I'm not shy about my expectations. And the fact that they dropped the ball so bad after so many repeats, I'm like, you're immediately out, immediately out. I don't have time for this. I'm not a babysitter. I'm not here to make friends with you. I'm here to encourage a safe space for us to work in. This wasn't like a fail fast. This was like I lied to you and said things were done, and the customer's pissed and now calling me. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, good riddance. Yeah.
And
So
I hope that anybody who does listen, that it helps. Like I know my daughter who just got promoted to a manager and is dealing with, somebody that they inherited and a
yeah.
situation. And she calls me, and why not? I have, 30 years experience, and we talk about it. And, there are plenty of, you know, managers that don't know what to do. They don't have the experience yet either. So, I hope that just our conversation, and if anybody had questions, they could ask, but, hopefully it does help younger people or even older people that find themselves in a situation and just aren't sure what to do.
I have been managing people for a minute. And of course, I have degrees and studied behavior and still study behavior. It's one of my favorite things to do. I do believe people can change. I've seen it. I think it takes an internal drive. You cannot change someone. When someone shows up, like for instance, if someone chronically shows up late to a meeting, they don't respect your time, it's going to show up in somewhere else. There's
Oh,
just this
100%.
if someone produces, by the way, these two people, the first thing I had them do was terrible. And I went to their manager because they don't directly report to me. I went to their manager and said, "This is a concern. Never let it happen again." If it came to me like this, I'm furious. Um, People live in patterns, humans behave in ways that they've been behaving. That's how our brains work. There's neurological reasons for it. There's these neural synapses that create and fire off when you do something because that's what makes it easier for us to live. So I think as a manager, I just look for patterns. The way you show up is the way you're going to probably always show up.
Correct. And I do agree with you, and I also agree with you on people can change. So there I my children saw me and their father go to work and how we handle ourselves at work. And hopefully that was an example for them. But there are children coming out of college that haven't seen that for whatever
Yeah.
reason. Even like your
Yeah.
parent can be a doctor. You don't see them go to work. You have no idea what's going on. My kids saw it. We
Right.
had daycare in my office. They saw me go to work when they were little. Then they saw me, if I had to work from home or they came to work with me. They saw a lot of my interaction.
Yeah.
So I remember my daughter she had her first job interview and her tire was flat. And she called the house and she's like, they gave me a choice between the 9:30 or the 2:30. Do I call back and say, can I change it to 2:30? And her father and I were like, absolutely not. Get in an Uber, get over there. You do not do that. And sure enough, and how did she have that time to figure that out? Because we told her you need to get there two
Right.
hours early and sit
Right.
in Starbucks for 2 hours because you could get a flat tire, you could sit in traffic, and it's all unacceptable. So you're going to
Right.
sit there. And that's how she had time to react. And
Yeah.
she got out of college, and the first, I would say, 6 months, every morning took a picture. Does this look good? Am I okay? So you have parents that show you how important that is. And I have best friends whose son interned for me for all through high school and all through college. And then we ended up, well, I moved to another company, but the old company ended up hiring him. Fridays, we wore jeans. So I said to him, you know what, Andrew, on Fridays, wear jeans. And he just started laughing. He goes, if my father saw me walk out of this house going to work in jeans, do you know what he would do to me? We have cameras in this house. He would call me up and say, get your ass back inside. And I laughed and I'm like, great parenting.
Okay. Yeah.
He's like, well, Dory told me. He's like, how long has Dory been working? What is Dory's title? What are you kidding me? You're an
Right.
intern. Get
Right.
clothes on.
Dress
So
up. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So, and then, I hired Amanda as one of her best friends. And she came in ripped jeans and a crop top. And I had to send her home. And I'm like, where's your mom? Like she didn't look at you when you walked out the door. So there are people that
Mm.
don't know what's right, and that's then you become a mentor. I
Right.
I wished somebody much younger than me at work one day. It was her birthday, and I just said happy birthday, and she replied and she's like, "Thank you so much. You have been the best mentor I've ever had." And I was
Oh,
like, I had no idea that I was mentoring her. I had no idea.
wow.
Like I was
Wow.
just her friend
That's
at work.
you never know who's learning from you and who's following you. Yes.
Exactly.
But see, she was the one learning from you. If you have to keep telling someone to do better, again, I'm not your parent. These were seasoned people who have been in the industry for 20 years. Sounds
Right.
like a you problem. We don't babysit here at Continuum. I was so fucking furious. And I'll bleep that out. I was so furious.
You don't have to.
Um, One of them texted me or messaged me, on our IM system and said, "Hey, do you have a second to chat?" And I said, "You don't want to talk to me today. You don't,
Mm.
you don't want to talk to me today." Yeah, I was that upset. So I think it's a balance. I think when people want to grow, I hired someone straight out of high school. She's one of my top performing reps right now.
Right.
I don't care about age. I don't care about experience. Listen, I was homeless as a child. I'm an immigrant. I get sob stories. I lived it. I totally get it. But if you don't show up as a grown adult, and both white men, by the way, ironically,
Mm.
um,
Mm.
n- not my
You know,
monkey, not my
and
circus.
so to that point, I had a woman who worked for me, single, no kids, and I have probably at the time they were 2 or 3 year old twins that I have to bring to work with me. I have to get up, I have to get myself ready, I have to get them ready. We all get dressed, we get in the car, we drive to work, I drop them off, at another part of the building, and then I got to get my ass upstairs. She couldn't get to work, just could not get to work before 10 o'clock. And I liked her, and I knew she had a good work ethic. She would work till
Okay.
10 o'clock at night, but she just couldn't get in till 10 in the morning. And I said to her, everybody else gets here. You're the only one who you have nothing. You have no kids. You
Right.
have nothing. I said, so instead, I was like, you know what? You're going to be responsible for Asia now. And it was the perfect solution.
See?
So
Yes.
that's how we solved it. But if I didn't have that option, she was either going to have to make the choice, the change, or she was going to be like, oh. So it was phenomenal that I got to keep somebody good and make
Yes.
that. Um, but there's, I'll send you something. I saw it wasn't a TED talk. It's some guy that talks. I forgot who it was, and I love the things that he says. But he's talking about growing up in this generation and ghosting and blocking and nobody's accountable and all that stuff. And I did have somebody who worked for me. She was probably late 20s. I tried so hard with her. I liked her as a person. I wanted her to succeed. And I just tried and tried and tried. And it just didn't work. And like the last straw was, where it's pouring rain. I'm on the Long Island Railroad platform. Standing next to me is the CEO of the company, right? So we're 30 years older than she is. And I get a text from her. I'm there with my umbrella. He's there with his umbrella. And I get a text from her. It's raining today. So instead of walking to the subway, I think I'm going to just work from home. This is pre-COVID. Nobody worked from home. And I was like, my ass is out here.
Yeah.
You get to work. And that
Yeah.
was it.
And did she show up?
No, no.
Yeah. I would have fired her. Done.
Well, you
Done.
did.
Done. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the difference. There's people who want it and we're human. We make mistakes. That's normal. But then there's people who take advantage or maybe don't know better or whatever. And for these larger companies, maybe they can invest for years. I gave them several months, too many months if you ask me.
Right.
I just think you can tell almost right away. I mean,
I agree with
definitely
you.
within the first 30 days, you can tell. Yeah.
I think you can. And I think like my kids, and this might be wrong. Like somebody could be watching this and say, you're a freaking helicopter mom. But my kids, like my son, if he has to email a professor, he's second semester freshman year, he will send me the email. Does this look good? Is this okay? And I'm like, yeah. And then there are things that I'll say, I can't answer that for you. You know, this is your life.
Yeah.
I'm not in that class. I don't know. So, but when it comes, I'm proud that they care enough to say,
Yeah.
does this work? You know, is this okay to say to my boss? Because you know, then I have two older ones who are 28. They still ask the question, "What do you think about this?" And why not? I call my
Right.
mom for advice.
Totally agree.
Right,
I call all kinds of people for advice. In fact, I was deciding back and forth, should I do this Amsterdam trip for this, sort of customer thing? And just yesterday, I called a couple friends and I'm like, all right, here's the situation. Should I go or should I not? So I do that all the time. Yeah,
right,
I think that's actually very wise to go
right,
seek counsel. We don't have to fail alone. Yeah, I completely
right.
agree.
And
All
you
right,
and I
well,
have done that with each other. I've asked you a lot of questions, and
100%.
right,
Yeah.
and there's a big age gap with us. And I ask you,
I think that's one of the best things we can do is say, "Hey, Dory, I'm struggling this. What do you think I should do? How would you approach this?"
and that is when you find women at work. And I would say that I have been extremely lucky with the female relationships at work. Everybody, most everybody, I can't say everybody, most everybody is supportive and wants to help you and wants to see you succeed.
I hope that there are more women lifting up women. I have this
Yes.
insanely amazing group of really powerful women friend groups, and it's in fact I'm going to go see two of them tonight, and it's the best thing.
Yeah.
To your point, when you can find a group of women that are at your level or hopefully above. I like to be the dumbest person in the room on purpose. I like to be the least successful, and so I'm constantly learning. So I completely agree with you. When you find folks like that, and it's okay to ask. I was just with somebody, something totally different. I do fostering, and I was getting my new house recertified to be able to foster here. And so the lady comes in and she checks the house, make sure I don't poison and all the things that they check for. And it turns out I passed. I will be fostering in this house too, which is great.
Right.
Um, yeah, yeah, 11 years. I think I'm going on 11 years now or something like that. Anyways, so and she says, "You know what? Can I tell you something? I just want to be your friend." And I was like, as an adult, I give you so much credit for saying that. I would love to be your friend.
That I think that that's like a huge compliment. And it is true. You know, people, you have that personality. I remember when I was selling my house, my realtor said, "Any chance you want to go into selling real estate? We'd love for
I
you to be one of
totally-
our partners." So it is a very big compliment when somebody recognizes that right away.
Oh, I think it was I mean, I think it was such a great trait to say. I mean, how many of us just go out and say, "I want to be your friend?"
Mhm.
It sounds almost
That's
like a child, like, "Hey, you want to be?" Kids are fine with it. They'll say it anytime. So I was so encouraged, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do that. Hey, I just want to be your friend. I think you're a cool person. You want to
yep.
grab a drink sometime or coffee? I know how you feel about coffee. A hot cocoa. A hot cocoa. Dory doesn't do coffee. Okay.
You know, it is. You never know what it does.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you this story. I had just. It was December 26th that I got the bandages taken off, and I had like all these stitches in my head. And the first thing I did is I'm like, I'm gonna go and get a manicure and just relax. And I walk in, and there's this beautiful girl sitting down and she's staring at me. And I'm like, maybe she knows George from high school. Like, why is she staring at me? She's got to be a friend of George's and she recognizes me. So I sit down and she just looks at me and she goes, "I just want to tell you, your hair looks so beautiful." And I'm like, I didn't want to scare her, but I really wanted to pull up a picture of what I looked the day before. Remember, I told you I posted it because, I
Yeah.
copied you. Like, life isn't perfect. And I might look like this today, but yesterday, holy shit, this is what I look like. And I didn't want to scare her, but I did want to say to her, you have no idea what that random compliment meant.
Wow. See, another encouraging thing, like, let's send some compliments to each other. I love that. I absolutely, and random strangers. I mean, I was just in London last week, and yeah, the lady next to me, I was out with another partner of ours and a wonderful friend of mine, and she's like, "I hear you're both American, and you're joking about coffee, and now we're all on this group chat together." So it's you never know where it's going to lead. I think you're exactly right. I think you're exactly right.
Yep,
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, we have
it
time
is.
for one more question. Should we do one more? You think?
We should do one more, and then I want to ask. I have one for you. I
Okay.
mean,
All right.
unless we want to say this time completely on work.
No, I don't think it matters. Honestly, I don't know how great the footage is going to be on this one because you were just blurry.
I
Mine is
know, and I was
awesome.
at the end of talking about something. Let
I'm
me
like,
just fix
what
my
the
hair.
hell? I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
I
So
think when
maybe
I
we'll get a
move
few
the
clips out
camera,
of this. Yeah, we'll get a few clips out of this, and then we'll just have to re-record a different, like more.
you could also, even though I'm talking, like put your face on.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, we could
yeah.
do that.
Okay.
We don't have
Yeah,
to keep it like this. Can we? Can we edit it where
yeah.
we're
We can do
keeping
things
your?
like, well, let's see. That's not what we want. We want to do no. I see.
I like that. Did you do one that we were? Yeah. So you could. Where's the one where it was further back with both of
Oh,
us?
like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay
That's
with that.
cool. I like that.
And like, how do I?
I just have to move the shit on the box on the floor.
Eh, all right. Well.
I like it back.
um,
Maybe next time we'll do it further back.
Okay, I'm cool with that. Awesome.
Okay.
Anyway, all right. Let's hear your question. Let's hear your question.
Mine is just I heard this. Somebody asked this question on TikTok, and I love the answer. And somebody disagreed with the answer, but I'm sticking to this answer. You're
Okay.
on a
Oh,
date,
okay.
or you're going on a date, and either it could be your first date or you meet someone. Forget that, or keep that. What's the biggest red flag?
The biggest red flag on a date. Oh my gosh. The biggest red flag. There's so many. Super rude. If they're super rude and arrogant, just get out. Just leave.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because everything else is gonna flow from that. If they're a terrible person, um, any kind of bashing of an ex, we all have terrible exes and good exes. Any kind of bashing, anybody in general, who kind of gossips like that, even though I don't know the other person, it's like, okay, you're probably not. I like to be around very positive people, so that's probably not gonna do anything
Well,
for
that
me.
goes back to what we talked about last time is like, do you give anybody the benefit of the doubt kind of thing? And it's like, if you're already talking about a horrible ex, like run because
Yeah.
who you don't need that. That's for sure.
I
I
was on a date once and the guy.
driving me crazy. And if I knew that as a red flag, I never really had a serious relationship. If I knew it, I would have been gone beforehand. I mean, she was attacking me everywhere she could.
Yikes.
Oh yeah.
Yikes. I've never had a crazy ex-girlfriend. Even when I was married, my ex's wife was wonderful. We had a great relationship. I'm just kind of not a drama person.
I
Not
agree.
my jam. Yeah, it's just I'm like, no, then it's not gonna work.
My
I
my
did have
ex-husband's wife is there isn't a nicer person. She's just
yeah.
lovely and she's wonderful to my children and she's just a good person.
That's how our relationship was. Like, I'm not trying to be the mom. I will enforce what you want me to enforce. That's it. That's what I'm here for. Yeah. I did have a date once. This was back when I was in law school, and he went on and on about all these crazy ex-girlfriends. Dang it. Hold on. Oh, I hope this footage, at least we have like two clips out of this footage. Ah, come on.
We're gonna have more than two
I'll figure out
because
what's
we
going
also
on.
finished after we realized it. So just go back.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I was on this date and this guy goes on and on about all of these terrible ex-girlfriends. And I'm sitting there again. I used to analyze behavior for a living for a very long time. That's all I did was just watch behavior and then write programs on this is what that behavior is doing. This is how you change it, blah, blah, blah. and I would train schools and, therapists and hospitals like neuropsych doctors. Anyway, so I'm laughing and he's like, "What's so funny?" And I'm like, "If all of your ex-girlfriends are crazy,
Maybe.
I'm just saying, just maybe
Right.
there's a common denominator." So now, even at work, when I say all your ex girlfriends are crazy, everyone knows what I mean. Like, listen, if all of your projects are behind, if every time, if all of your dates are bad, everybody has a friend who's like, I can't find a guy. And it's like, if you can never have a good date, maybe
Right.
that's a thing,
Right. I did
maybe
it
explore
like
that.
when my daughter was in college and she's like, oh, every roommate, although her first year roommate and her are very good friends, and
Oh,
that's nice. But she's like, every roommate. And I'm like, maybe it's not the roommate. And you know what she said to me? She goes, you're 100% right. It's me. She goes, I just
wow.
can't anybody.
At
So
least she knows that's the battle. That's
well,
the,
I asked
battle.
the question because this person asked their mother, "What's a red flag?" And I loved the mother's answer.
Oh,
She
what is
said,
it?
"When they take their phone and they put it
Flip
upside
it
down."
upside down. Yeah, I do look
I'm
for
like,
that.
"That's
Yes.
fantastic." So
Okay.
I told one of my best friends that, and she's like, "Well, I don't know if I agree with that because what if they just didn't want to be distracted?" And I'm like, well, then they put it in their
From his girlfriend. He doesn't want to be distracted from his other girlfriend. That's yes, I agree.
put
Ooh,
it away.
that brings up another great story. So I'm at a comedy club. I do comedy recreationally for fun. I'm at a comedy club, and long story short, they only took cash, so we were going to run to the cash station or whatever ATM. And this guy comes up to us and says, "Don't worry about it. I've got cash. You guys can just Venmo me." So, anyways, so we start talking, and he's a nice guy. Whatever. I didn't. Funny enough, I didn't actually know he was a celebrity. I'm not into sports. I didn't know. So he kept trying to convince me that he's an athlete, and they won a massive championship. I won't say which one because then it'll be easier to isolate, but
Okay.
massive, like very very big deal. And he's like, "Oh no, I'm installing again. I'll wait for it."
And I think I'm blurry again.
From perfect cruising to like this, Okay, recording resumed. So anyway, so he's trying to convince me, like, no, really, I am this athlete. Like, I really am this like huge. And I'm like, okay, buddy, just go scratch, whatever. So anyway, so he follows us, we hang out throughout the comedy show. He goes up and does some comedy. I go up and do some comedy. And he comes back, he's like, "Let me get your number." So he gives me his phone to put my number in, and guess who calls? His girlfriend. I'm like, "Who's so and so?" And he's like, "Oh." And I'm like, "Uh-huh. Take the phone. Take the phone." Yeah. So there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, yeah. Like, oh,
Yeah, is
Lord.
she famous?
She is not famous. His ex-wife is very famous, but his current live-in girlfriend is not.
Live-in girlfriend. See, part of me is like, say his fucking name.
No, I can't. It's too big. It's too big.
Right.
Yeah.
I I I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. And I have since seen his girlfriend, and I'm always like, do we tell her what's the right? Is it like girl code, or is it not my circus, not my monkey? Stay out of it. What do
I
you do?
I would stay out of it.
You would.
I
Okay.
I would.
Wouldn't you want
I
to know your boyfriend's doing this? No.
no, I would want to know. Um I don't know if I would. I don't know. Yes, I would absolutely want to know. Yes. So, so I'll give you maybe a comparable, well, not an example. So years ago, I met this guy, and he has 5 kids, and
Right.
apparently no wife, and so I was like, okay, that's fine, and then so we go on several dates, and still he's I could call him any time of day. I could,
Okay.
he comes over, we go on dates, he talks about his kids, I know
Oh,
their names, I know where they go to school, I know everything. And then it
so
comes
you
out
do.
that his wife is alive and she, but she's dying of cancer. And I'm like, okay, first of all, if that's the case, and let's say you are married to someone, she's dying of cancer, I'm like, I admire you for being with her, taking care of her, whatever. Being honest, if like she's sick and your kids or whatever, that would be fine. Well, it ends up that
Oh,
she's
no.
not dying, and she's perfect. I don't know if she's perfectly fine, but in any case, like his daughter has a pretty big career as well, and like I could do that. I could say, you know what, I could. Why would I do that? What am I gonna? Does she want to know if her husband is doing this? I mean, he is doing it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, and I'm not dumb enough or naive enough to think that I'm the only one. He and I later, because we're all in the same scene together, we see each other a lot, and he was just telling me about this other lady that he's talking to. And I'm like, uh-huh. Uh-huh. How's your girlfriend feel about that? But I'm such a poker. I would say, how does your girlfriend feel about that? Anyway, but I
oh,
did not say
I
anything.
I did. I was going out to lunch or dinner. I think I was with my mother, and I'm like, "There's his mother and his sister right there." So I
How
texted.
did you find out?
Somebody else told me, and and I texted him. I go, "Your mother and your sister are walking into the same restaurant as me. Should I go say hello?" So I think he like called my bluff. He's like, "If you want to." So sure enough, I did. And I went over and I said hello and
What?
we're talking to them. And then I walked away and they didn't ask me who I was or whatever. And then months later, my best friend and I are walking into a restaurant. There they are again. I go over.
Right.
And this time I'm like, you know what? I'm not leaving until they ask me who I am.
Yeah, yeah, let's
He goes,
go.
"How do you know him?" I go, "Oh, I've been dating him for a long time." And then the mother looks at the sister and goes, "What did she say?"
I love it. I
Yep.
love it.
Mhm.
Yes, that. Yes, that. Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, I hope he's watching right now. I hope he's watching. That's incredible. All right. I hate to say it. I gotta
He's
run.
not
I go to
smart enough
dinner.
to find us.
This guy. What a loser. That's the great story. That was worth this whole recording. So there you
But I
go.
would never say anything. Oh,
Yeah.
I have more. I
Oh,
have
I'm
a
sure.
big one.
Okay, save it. Write it down. I have to run because I have to go to dinner.
This I wouldn't ruin his life.
Okay. All right.
But it is it's a I'll tell you this one day when we're just chatting on the phone.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,